Alright, hey, it's Paul from paulsailor.com. Thanks for watching the videos. I appreciate all your comments and everything. Every day I get up and I look at them and I read them and I take them in. So everything that you write, I read and I appreciate. Thank you very much for your feedback. And this video is made in response to one of the comments. One of the comments, I made a video about learning languages, and I talked a lot about why it's a great idea to learn languages. Like what really motivates me and why it's so important in my life. And I talked about what benefits and basically the why of how to make a video. I mean, how to learn languages, why to learn languages. And today I want to talk about the key thing I do different that I've never heard anybody else does that helps me to get fluent in languages. A lot of people I know, they speak languages, but it's often their intonation is not so great, and maybe they are kind of like halting. And if you could see inside their brain, if you had like you could open it up and you could see what's in there, like little guys working in there, you could see exactly what they're thinking. You would see that a lot of people who speak languages, even if they speak quite well, and even if they use it quite a lot, they actually have a lot of fear of the language. So for example, if they go to a party and they're expecting a lot of English speakers to be there, but they're not there, and it's just Japanese speakers or whatever, they feel this kind of like, okay, I have to get ready, I have to warm up. They have, it's like, oh, not so much, it depends on how long, but this is a real feeling, and anybody who speaks languages, you're going to know what I'm talking about. And how you don't have that kind of feeling, and how you get fluent in a language, I'm going to teach you my little secret here. I should say not little, but it's a secret that really works for me. Okay, so what is learning a language? Okay, you have like Rosetta Stone, you have like books, you have schools, you have girlfriends, boyfriends, you have people on the street, you have audio tapes, right? All of these methods, except for people, are teaching you about things that you don't care about. So for example, when I studied Spanish in high school, which I never got good at, because I was learning the wrong way, by the way, back then. Spanish, I would read the book, and I studied German too, and you read the book and it would say something like, whatever her name is, Marita is a student, or Marita is a student in so-and-so university in so-and-so country, and her friend is this, and as you're reading, you're not stupid, you have to memorize all these names, and her school, and what she cares about, and she likes ice cream, or she likes soccer, or whatever, and you have to kind of become part of this fake world to learn languages, right? And then the teacher will also ask you, the questions will be like, Marita, does she like soccer? Oh yes, she likes soccer, right? And what's wrong with that is that it's not real to you, okay? It's something that's completely out of, like for me, I didn't care about Marita, and I had never been to Spain at the time, and I didn't know anything about Spain, I didn't know anything about her school, and I didn't want to memorize all this garbage that had nothing to do with me. And if you watch a little baby learn languages, they don't do it either. The baby is just learning what's right in front of him, right? He's learning like, food and thank you and don't and yes and dog and bark and we go and, stop and, hot. And he's learning these kind of words and, and then he's slowly putting them together. And what the baby does is the baby learns what's in his room. If you ever had kids, or your uncle or aunt, that kids don't really like to go out that much. Little kids, they like to be at home. So whenever I had to go with my nieces in Tokyo, I go to their house, And the farthest we would get is sometimes we'd get to the 100-yen store, or we would get to the park, right? And if her parents wanted to go out, they would go farther, right? But kids like to be in their room, right? So kids are in their room a lot. They're in their house a lot. They're in their yard. Very close by, right? What does that have to do with learning languages? It has a lot to do with learning languages. Because the kids become quite fluent in a language just in a small area with a small amount of vocabulary, okay? They generally will know all the things in their house. They'll know what's in the refrigerator, the freezer, they'll know what's in the garage, they'll know, anything that you buy as a parent and leave in the house, they'll know the name of it, right? They'll be like, oh yeah, daddy's tripod, right? They can be really small, but if daddy loves tripods, they're gonna know what a tripod is, right? So they learn these things. And I remember one time in Japan, I play a lot of sports, a lot of extreme sports, and I break bones a lot. So when I was learning Japanese, I became very, very fluent. I was going to have some major surgery on my leg, and so I became very fluent in medical terminology. And I remember because it went on for a long time. The doctor made a mistake, and long story, and I had to, it was a really scary time actually. And so what happened was, the last time I went in, I realized I was totally fluent in all these like ridiculous medical terms in Japanese when it comes to like anything with broken bones and legs and screws and connectors. It was way above my level of Japanese at the time, but I was really good at it. And it was like super weird because I realized, wait a second, I'm fluent in like broken leg, bone, regrowing bones through meat and things like that. I know all these words and I know all this stuff, and I can't even like order a pizza. Right? Well, the reason why is because I didn't live in a place where I didn't work in a pizza place. I didn't make pizzas. I didn't see people making pizzas. To me, it was completely not real. So that's kind of the background. Is that you learn what's around you. So there's different ways of learning, right? You get like Rosetta Stone, where you get 4 pictures, right? One of them's an apple, and they'll say the word apple. You hit the apple, right? And I like that. I think it's really good. I think there's a lot of scientific research that went into that terminology. Methodology. And what I love about that is most language learning systems are scams. They're generally made by somebody who doesn't speak the language. Trust me, I've been around a lot of textbook writers. They didn't learn the language. They didn't learn it using this method. They're just putting a bunch of stuff together that they think is a learning language method, right? So it doesn't work. And that's why you don't learn. That's why you get frustrated. Because the methods that you're using, nobody ever used them to become fluent. Think about that. It's pretty evil, really, when you think about it. I mean, I cannot even understand how anybody could live with themselves to make a book about learning a language when they never use it to get fluent themselves. I tell them I can all fuck off. I hate people like that. Because the motivation that you have to learn a language is super important. You don't want to lose that. And how you lose that is by learning the wrong way, and then you're like, you don't get any benefit, and then you're just like, oh, I'm not good at it, right? You blame it on yourself, right? Don't do that. Okay, so background for my method, or one of the key parts of my method, is that what I did when I got to China is I realized that I needed to know. I wanted to know the things that are around me. Okay, my language for my life. Okay, the stuff I care about, like computer stuff. I like to eat a certain diet, and so I wanted to know about that, like a low-fat diet at the time. I had all kinds of things I cooked specially. I wanted to know how to say the things about myself, right? And that's the things people ask you. They say, what do you think about this? Or they don't ask you, like, what did Nixon have for breakfast, right? They ask you, what do you want to eat? What do you like? Where do you want to go? They ask you about you, right? So you have to be able to talk about all the things about yourself. So basically, most of the things you like are in your house, okay? Whether they're on your computer, they're in your hard drive, they're in the websites that you visit, or they're physically in your refrigerator, your freezer, your closet, they're on the floor, they're hanging somewhere in there, in the garage, they're in the backyard, they're around your house, okay? So, I hope you're getting where I'm going. Okay, so they're in your house. So what you want to do, okay, what I very, very highly recommend you doing is to have somebody, okay, it's not easy to find the right person, okay, but what you want to do is you want to find the right person, a very talkative person, and you want them to go around your house, okay, and you want them to look at every single thing in your house, and you want them to talk about it, okay? So for example, they knock on the front door, and they say, oh, I'm knocking on the door. This is Paul's house. Now they're saying this all in the language you want to learn, okay? It's not baby language. There's no baby talk in the way I learn. Fuck baby talk. Never. Baby talk isn't going to help you learn languages. Okay, you want to learn real language from the beginning. You want to learn full speed, real language, okay? That's another part of it. So you have somebody go around your room. So they knock on the door. They say, oh, I'm knocking on the room. This is Paul's house. I wonder if he's home. The door here, doors are funny. They keep people out, but they only keep kind of good people out, like not bad people, because you can kick the door down. Like if you watch a cop show, the guy busts in and they have the battering ram and they bust the door down, And meanwhile, the person talking is kind of using action. Sorry about that. They're physically moving and they're doing stuff when they're doing it, right? So they're like kicking the door when they're kicking the door, right? Or they're walking around the room. You're recording this, right? All on video, okay? So they go and then they say something like maybe like, a door is seen as a way in, or it's seen as there's doors of perception, right? And they talk about doors, and many things about doors, right? They look at the door, what kind of wood is it? Does it have grains? And they talk about the grains, and they ran their finger along the grains. And then they look at the mat, oh, it says welcome. WELC, whatever language they're teaching. What they're doing is they're going into your room, okay, and they're looking at everything in your room, right? So I'm talking about the methodology right now. So, okay, so they knock on the door, they talk about the door, they talk about the scratches on the door, they talk about the type of material on the door, they talk about different meanings of door, and then they go, it's a very slow tape, okay, they're gonna go like through your room, and usually take about an hour to 2 hours. You want them to talk about every single thing in your room, okay? So they go into your refrigerator, and they look at all the foods in there, and they talk about everything. They talk about the brands, they talk about commercials the brands were in, they talk about bottles, they talk about the sound of bottles, they talk about what is a bottle made out of, they talk about what's inside the thing, they talk about maybe how this thing is eaten. So if there's a turkey in there, they talk about Thanksgiving, right? They talk about Frozen, they talk about the North Pole, right? And you want a very talkative person who's very creative, and they're looking at everything in your room, and they're talking about every aspect of it, okay? And they're moving in a circle. So they have to move in like a line so that you can follow them, right? Okay, so what you do is you watch them make that original recording, okay? It's very important you watch them because you want to be there for the original recording, because the first time you're feeling it different, okay? You're watching them talk, and you can even ask questions if you want, right? Okay, so they finally finish that tape. You take that tape, okay, and then you rip it into audio. There's a few software you can use to take the audio out, put it on your iPhone, and then you want to watch the video on your computer. And what you do is when you first watch it, you're not going to know many of the words because you're just starting to learn the language, and the person is talking in full-on Japanese or full-on German or whatever language you're learning, right? They're really speaking like, obviously you don't want to talk about nuclear science, or you don't want to talk about biotechnology, or physics, but he's talking about everything in the room. But he's not, I guess I'm saying don't take it easy. Don't let him take it easy. Let him really go for it. Let him talk about it. And what makes it easy for you is that you can see where they are in your room, and also they're going to use some words that are loan words. So they might talk about something that you kind of recognize. Like they might say something like, I don't know if now it's an election cycle, so they might say Hillary Clinton in German or something, and you might say, oh, that's, even though you don't speak German yet, you're like, oh, that's Hillary Clinton. I know he's saying Hillary Clinton, right? So, because you had that magazine on your table, right? So it becomes easier to understand because it's things that you know. It's your house, right? And so you take that tape and you watch it over and over and over and over again. And the best way to watch it is to put on your MP3 and then to walk around the room and do exactly what they did. So touch the door, knock on the door, and then just go around the house and listen to this tape over and over. What'll happen is going to be super interesting. I've never heard this methodology in my life. What's going to happen is you watch that tape for give yourself a break and then watch it again, give yourself a break. You think it's going to be boring. It's not boring. It's not boring because it's your room. It's just things that you all want to know. They're all words that you want to know. Like when you go to school, they teach you words you don't even care about, right? In your own room, it's like you buy things for a reason, right? You don't have like a pair of boots you don't use, right? They're for rock climbing, or they're for something that you care about, right? So it's actually not boring to learn the things you want to say. To express yourself is not boring, right? So, okay, so you listen to it over and over and over again, and you become fluent in your room, in your house, okay? Now, it's very, very important. I was just thinking back to kids, but I remember when my nieces, when I would go to their house in Tokyo, and they knew everything in their room, right? Like every little dress and a Cinderella this and that. They knew everything. Like I was amazed. Like they had a bazillion toys, right? And they knew every single one. They knew when they got it, where it was, and what movie it was in. So the kids knew a lot about this vocabulary. You're kind of like that too. Just like we're like big kids, right? So you know a lot about everything in your room. You remember when it came. You remember when the table got scratched, when the floor got cracked or whatever. When the water came through the roof. Don't just talk about beautiful things. Talk about ugly things. Talk about mold. Talk about dirt. Talk about drains. Talk about hair. Talk about garbage. Talk about anything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All that matters is it's real and it's in your room. Okay. So when you listen to that again and again, after a couple of months, you'll be fluent in your room. And why is that important? The reason why it's so freaking important is that when people study languages, they never get fluent in anything. Okay, they learn words, fine. They learn sentences, right? But they're not fluent. Think of it like this. Think of it like when you make a bread, okay? You put yeast in the bread, And that little bit of yeast makes the whole bread rise. Right? It's that one thing that makes the whole thing happen. There's a lot of things like that in life. And I really believe that language is like that. So you don't want to learn too many things. You want to start with things you care about in your room, because you can sit there like a zombie and listen to this tape over and over, and nobody will think you're weird, right? You can just do it in your room. No one even knows, right? And you can just keep going around and around and watching it again and again, touching and thinking. And later you can go to more sophisticated tapes. Like you can have your girlfriend or wife or husband tell you about dreams they had, or they can tell you about stories that you already know and things like that. But let's just stick with the room, right? So you will be fluent in your room, and you will be amazed. You'll go to class, if you're taking classes, and nobody's ever fluent in anything. I have friends who studied Chinese for 10 years. They were never fluent, ever. They gave up, of course. But this will keep your motivation up too, because you'll feel this kind of fluency about you. Later on, the next step is to go to a nearby park or something that doesn't change. Okay, so for example, if you go to Starbucks basically never change. Okay, they basically have brownies, they have cappuccino, the tables are a certain color, there's a certain music, there's a certain a number of people there, there's a certain kind of lighting, and there's a certain kind of atmosphere. So that's another great place to make your second MP3 or your second recording. You can also do it in a park. So if you do a daily walk in a park, you can do that same thing. And then what happens is you'll be fluent in your room, okay? Then you'll be fluent in your area, right? Maybe in your car, you could do one. I didn't do that, but you could do it in your car. You could do it in a local park. And then you could do it, I did one for my computer. So I had somebody look at my computer. You have to pick different people, because with the computer, I needed somebody who really understood computers. Because I wanted somebody not just going to generally, they're going to say exactly, IP addresses and DNS settings. And I wanted somebody who was pretty good with computers. So I had a good computer person in Chinese come into my room and look at all the settings on all my websites, and look at all the things I had in my computer, and look and everything that they watched me on the computer for a while. They watched exactly what I did, signing into this, signing out of that, making this, editing a picture here, doing that. And then they said, okay, you do this, right? So yeah, he says, okay. And then he goes to his tape and he does an hour tape. Actually, he did like a 3-hour tape, and it was fantastic. And I watched that a million times, and I'm like the only guy I know that's fluent in, like I can look at the computer, I can talk about computer stuff in Chinese because of this tape. So try this. It's not easy because you need somebody to do it. You might have to watch this tape over and over to really understand what I'm saying about what kind of tape that you want. But believe me, if there's one thing that's going to pay off in language learning, this is it. This is it. So another thing, if you're stuck in a language, okay, my friend John, if you're watching this, you're stuck in your language. Don't just generally think, hey, do I want to be better at language? No, don't think like that. Don't think that. It's too overwhelming. Think specific. Okay, I know you're into Bitcoin, right? So maybe you want to have somebody do a Bitcoin one for you, right? Or exactly what you want to know. He's going to make that tape. He's going to know who you are, what you do, what you want to do, how you make money, and he's going to make you a tape that's super helpful. That talks all about that stuff, right? And it doesn't matter what you do, business, you could be in, a geologist or whatever. You have somebody do that, right? And that's it. That's the key thing. You will be motivated, and you will get fluent, and that fluency, believe it or not, I don't know how the human brain works. It's just like a bicycle. Once you can ride a bicycle, you can always ride a bicycle. How does that work? I mean, seriously, how does that work? I have no idea. No one can explain it. Right? It's just the weirdest thing. That's how the brain is. This is another one of those weird things. If you get fluent in things that you care about, in one small area, just like my broken leg, which I didn't care about, but it was a good area. It was something because I broke a lot of bones. I broke a ton of bones. So I had to talk about it a lot. And I had to learn it again in Chinese because I broke a lot of bones in China too. So it was useful for me. But that will become the yeast that will fill out the language all across your life. There you go. It's a big promise. But I'm telling you, it works. If you make a tape, contact me, paul@paulsailor.com. I would love to coach you through it. And if you think that you'd like to learn more about this methodology, I've thought many times about putting this all together into a course. If you're interested, send me an email, paul@paulsailor.com. If you're not interested, I'm not selling anything. Okay? If you're not interested, please, I don't want to make it. If I get enough people interested, I'd love to make it because it's something I really care about. But it's all about you. If you're interested, that's what I want to make. So thanks for watching, and signing out from Bangkok, Thailand. Beautiful day, beautiful summer day here, and enjoying with my friend Rob. But thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel down below. If you hit the red, which way would be down here? The little square down there, or the thing down below there, the subscribe button, and then you'll get every new video as we come out with them. So thanks for watching.